Okay. I'll let you know when it's on. It's loading.
It says it's live on my end.
Oh, it does? Okay. It's probably okay. Yay! Okay, so we're good. Okay, let me mute the YouTube. There's gonna be questions probably flying through YouTube. So I'm gonna keep that open too. If you have YouTube up, just make sure you mute it. I'm sure you know all these things.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Tiffany. How are you?
I am well, Erin. How are you?
Good. Do you prefer to be actually called the Budgetnista or Tiffany?
Honestly, either one is fine. I mean, like if we were just hanging out, obviously Tiffany, but
Yeah.
honestly, yeah, Tiffany is fine. I mean, Budgetnista here and there sprinkled in, that don't hurt either.
Okay. I know because people call me Erin on demand. Like it's just.
Oh, that's cute though. I can see why.
Erin on demand. I'm like, girl, just say Erin. Okay. So, okay, cool. Where are you based?
I'm in New Jersey, in Newark, New Jersey. So right outside New York. It's probably like, I want to say maybe 15, 20 minutes right outside New York.
Okay. Well, that's cool. Not lots of activity. Well, not right now, but in general. Hey, Right Dreamer. Hey, Brooke. Hi.
I can see my
on demand.
Yes, come on into the room. Hey.
Mom Life Hack. Hey, Davina. Hi, everyone. Oh my gosh, where are you guys from? Please drop in where you're tuning in from. I'm super excited for today, y'all. I've been following Tiffany, aka the Budgetnista, for so long, and I just have these full circle moments when I have people like you who I have been watching for years and have been implementing things that you've been sharing and teaching for so long, and to now be able to have a conversation with you, and hopefully people go out and buy your book. I know I want to have it as one of our monthly books in my e-brand club. So we have about 700 members in my e-brand club, which you're going to be speaking in July. So
yes, I'm excited about that.
And so you guys, please ask away, ask questions in the chat. If we don't get to all the questions, please charge it to time, because I'm sure you guys will have a lot of questions for Tiffany. We have people tuning in from all over the place, so I'm so excited. Okay, so I want to hop right in because I want to get as much content out of Tiffany as possible. Because she just comes with so much information. And I heard you not too long ago on Deval and Kadim's podcast.
Yes.
And you told a story about how your parents, or, how you were brought up with, understanding money. And I just thought that was so interesting. So if you could just give us a brief introduction and just sprinkle in there how you got good with money.
So I was really fortunate, Erin, in that I grew up learning about money. My father was an accountant and a CFO, and my mom was a nurse, and she raised us, me and my sisters, there's 5 of us. And so my father was like the academic. It was like, okay, sit down with me. Let me show you how to. I remember him teaching me how to do my own taxes. I remember him teaching me how to budget, how to save, literally with our family's budget. And my mom, we would go food shopping with her, clothes shopping with her. I would see her negotiate, like, if we were getting our hair done, how she would negotiate the braid shop. And so as a result, I got such a well-rounded view of money, but most importantly, they didn't teach from a place of shame and fear, which so much of money is taught from, So I thought it was completely normal until probably about college, when my college roommate had debt collectors calling the dorm room. And I was like, we thought it was funny because we were all young and foolish, right? So we were like, ooh, we could do prank calls. Like they would call and we would put on different voices. And then I remember telling my dad, like, Dad, roommate has, debt collectors calling the room. It's crazy. And he's like, that's not good. Yes. Yeah. He was like, Because I didn't, I guess I didn't fathom like what that really meant for herself and her financial future. And it was then for the first time that I started to teach what I learned, because I would call him, or I would see him at home because I lived on campus, and I would take that information back to her. And it was like kind of the first time that I saw this transition of like how financial education outside of my life could help other people. And so kind of like the Budgetnista was born that way, because so many of my friends after that, I became like the go-to, like, oh, Tiffany, can you help me? I have a financial question. Can you ask your dad? Then after a while, I didn't have to ask him anymore. I'd absorbed enough of it. And I just, like some girls are like, oh, you're brows, girl. You the go-to for brows. You the go-to for hair. You the go-to for advice. I was the go-to for money out of my friend group. And so the 2008 recession, very similar to times like now, took everything that I worked so hard for. I bought a condo when I was 25. I had a job that I love. I was a school teacher. It took all of that. And as I was rebuilding for myself, again, I said, this is an opportunity as I rebuild to bring some sisters along with me. So as I learned, I taught. As I taught, I transformed. And a million women later, 10 years later, a million women later, here we are. And it just feels really good to know that I've lived a life of service. That's really helped a lot of people. And now here we are. And as a result, I love the fact, because honestly, I don't know what it looks like on the outside, because this is me, home, working, my team all works remotely. So I don't really get to I see the impact when people come to me and or on social media or whatever, say, oh my gosh, you helped me. But sometimes I guess I never thought that there were young financial educators, women, Black women who are like, girl, I saw you, was like, oh, yo, I could do that. And I'm like, really? It just blows my mind that that's even out there. So that's awesome.
Yes. So over the years, what would you say is the biggest financial hurdle that you've overcome?
So the biggest financial hurdle I've overcome it's just recently, I really had a mindset I had a small money mindset of what I was capable of earning, because it just seems so impossible. You think of $1 million, $10 million. These numbers seem they just seem like fairy tale numbers.
I know.
Yeah, you know? And so it's not until that's why it's so important that you connect with other people at different levels, So I always say it's good to have mentees. These are people that you lead who come to me and they're like, I got you, I can help you. I like to have peers, that people who are on the same level as me, because this is who you're going to interact with on a regular basis, because you guys are in the mud together, figuring it out. But it's important to have mentors, people who are ahead of you, because it's from that space that you're like, wait, what's possible? I remember it took me 3 years to make 6 figures in a year. And I was like, yo, I thought I was killing it. And it was killing it. And then I remember I was like, yo, would it be crazy if I could make $1 million in a year? Girl, that's not going to happen. And then 2 years later, I made $1 million in a year. And I was like, and then $1 million in a month.
Yeah.
And then darn near $1 million in a weekend. And now you're just like, oh, okay, And so, and today I was literally talking to, because this is why it's important to have, if you can't have a mentor, like a coach. This is the first year, or last year is the first year I actually employed a coach. I have an executive coach, but I also have a personal coach. And my executive coach today was like, hey, Tiffany, that you're sitting on $1 billion business, right? I thought that he was just talking, but he's not really the type of guy that just talks. He's like, no. There is a similar business to you that we all know his name, but we're not going to say it because he is like Voldemort, DR, who makes almost $500 million a year. And I know the SEO guy that helps to make that happen. And I showed him your stuff and he was like, oh, easily so, because his stuff is on a decline because of some of the insensitive things and the way he's navigated. And quite honestly, some of his advice is just outdated, but he refuses to pivot. And more, people are looking for people that look like them, sound like them, operate from a place of kindness and empathy. So when he said that, he was like, I'm not just talking, he's like, no, you're sitting on $1 billion business. And I was like,
how did that take you? Did that make you tap into something else? Did you go through some sort of imposter syndrome when he said that?
Yes and no, only because it's been the last year since I've employed, I have my executive business coach, Zion, but I also have a personal coach, Dr. Green. She has really been trying, I've been working toward trying to acknowledge the Tiffany I am today. Because Erin, I still feel because I used to be a preschool teacher, I still feel like I'm preschool teacher Tiffany from 10 years ago, who, was just working her little business. Yeah. And it's like, sis, no, you made $10 million last year. That's not no little business.
No.
But it's hard for me to,
Tiffany.
but it's just so, it was hard for me to see myself as now, like, and so that's what I've been working on. So when he said it, and they both said at this, which is crazy because within the same week, they both basically said the same thing, that everyone sees you as you are now, Tiffany, except for you. Zion said it best. He said, we are all at the Tiffany made it party, drinking champagne, eating caviar, living it up. And you outside talking about, do I have an invitation?
Right.
He said, sis, we all here. Like, we are at the party because we know, we see you. We're like, oh.
It's so much of the mindset. Can you talk about that, of just like, when it comes to our money mindset, what are the things that most people, and I want to particularly speak to entrepreneurs because that's such a big part of my audience, side hustlers, entrepreneurs. What is the thing that keeps them bound to this small mindset?
It's sometimes it's upbringing, because it is hard to be if you don't see, meaning that I didn't know any, at least obvious, I didn't know any millionaires growing up. Like, to me, if you were a millionaire, you were in entertainment, or you were, like a sports player. And I was like, I don't do any of those things. I didn't know that they were regular, like that the pizza guy where I get my pizza is likely running $1 million a year business, especially if he's in a college town. But, these are not things that if I don't know him personally, I didn't know that. And so the mindset is one of, that can't be me, that you have to have some special, extraordinary, like, honestly, Erin, there's nothing special about me. Like, I'm probably the most regular person that you can know. The only thing that's special is that every single day I am consistent and persistent about chasing my goals and dreams. Yeah. That is the only thing. I mean, am I smart? Yes. Am I Bill Gates smart? No. Am I like, I'm smart, like, oh, A, B, occasional C smart, average smart, like, so everything
that's
about
all
me.
And Tiffany, that's all
but I'm sharing that because I want people to know that there's nothing extraordinary other than the fact that a day does not pass that I do not deposit something into the dream of Tiffany. Sometimes it's just daydreaming. Sometimes I write it in my journal. Sometimes I'm working on it. Maybe it's an email. Sometimes I'm making a strategic plan. Sometimes working with. Every single day, I deposit into my dreams. And if you continue to deposit, it's like with investing. If you continue to deposit, you will finally reap if you sow. You will. And so it's just, and even like I said, I struggle with that because I'm like, well, because I was talking to a friend of mine who's like in her 30s. And I'm thinking I'm doing something like, because, we hit 10 million last year. She said, oh, that's good. Yeah, we're on track to do 50 this year. I was like, come again?
You're like, dang.
Yes, but no, but what? And it's not that 10 million is not doing something, but what she did was she's normalizing, like,
you,
sis, you could be right here, like me. We talking on the phone right now. So I was like, because what she's tearing away is what I've decided is big or hard. No, it's not. It's possible. It's available for us all. Is it a lot of work? Yes, but I was talking to the master investor Ian Dunlap of Earn Your Leisure. Yeah, right. I recently had him and the Earn Your Leisure guys on my podcast, Brown Ambition. And we just taped it earlier before this. And one of the things he said, what we're doing is not that hard. He said, it's hard. Talk to your great grandma who maybe used to wash clean houses. Talk to your great grandpa who maybe worked in a steel factory. That's hard work.
Right.
This right here, reading a book about investing, reading Get Good with Money and doing your budget. Yeah. Relatively speaking, think about that. Because we're like, it's so hard. Is it? Are you doing back-breaking labor as a migrant farm worker? No.
Exactly.
It's a book to read. It's a YouTube channel to watch. It's some research to do. It's some implementation. This is actually not hard, relatively speaking. You got this.
Yes. And would you say that getting to that mindset is harder than the actual act of getting good with your money? Is that such a big part of it, right?
Yes, it literally is the hardest part. Like, because once you get, I'm telling you, like, it took, like I said, it took maybe 2 or 3 years for me to get the 100,000, but then it took maybe 5 or 6 years in total to get to that million. And then to get to 1 million in a year to 1 million in a month took probably like 2 years, because what you realize is that once you get the mindset, you cut, and then to get 1 million in a weekend, like literally I made $1 million, my first million in a month. and my first million almost in a weekend within the same year. Because once you get that mindset, it like, you know, I literally was just telling my sister the other day, 'cause she's my publicist and she's amazing. Shout out to Tracy Alice PR. I was telling her, once you understand and you get to that mindset, you realize you are the bank. Erin, today I could hang up right now and be like, I'd like to make $100,000. You know what? I'm going to go live. I'm going to do one-on-ones with people who want to learn how to publish, edit, blah, 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 book, or I'm going to do one-on-one with someone who wants to learn how to run a team, blah, 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 whatever that is. You know, it's $1,000, but I'm only like, you only have an hour to sign up. Yeah. I could probably make easily $100,000 in an hour. You know what I mean? Because I am the bank. Once you break open that mindset, the money is actually easy. So I tell people, like I'm in church. The money is easy. Yeah. And it's the reason why I wrote things like Get Good with Money, because it's the foundational stuff that I want you to get. Because once you get that, you can build whatever financial house, dream, goal that you want. But most people are wanting to do the 3-pointer. You practice in the 3-pointer, but you don't know how to dribble. You know, you don't know how to do a layup. You don't know how to pass. You have to have the fundamentals. And one of those fundamentals, and I go over the mindset component of your fundamentals and Get Good with Money. It's one of the fundamentals, because once you can flip that on, I really, when she said 50, I was like, wait, what? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, well, how you plan on doing that? And she was breaking it down for me. And I was like, wait, I could do that. And then when Zion was like, this right here is a $1 billion business. I said, okay. He said, let me show you how. Pull up Procter & Gamble companies they own. He said, Tiffany, you see all these companies that Procter & Gamble owns? He said, you got Loves and Pampers. Seems like the same. They would compete. They don't. They speak to different audiences. Yeah. He said, you know, they also own Tide and Gain. You think, oh, they're competing against each other? They're not. Tide is high end and maybe Gain is mid-level. He's like, that's how the Budgetnista will branch out, that you will create for everyone from the beginner all the way to the advanced. People won't even know they're using a Budgetnista product or service, you know? And then you start to collect people along the way. You might say, hey, I see you've got this great investment academy, but it's not really doing much. I could pour my people into there. Let's do a partnership. Now, all of a sudden, you're my Tide. This one is my Gain. This one is my Loves. You see what I mean? Yeah. And he was like, because you have built in such a way that you can do that. That's why my mentee always laughs and says, Tiffany, you can wait on a coin. I can. I'm very patient about waiting for money to come in, because I'd rather it be right, you know, than now. Oh, I'm gonna say that again. I'd rather it be right than now. Because here's why. You can sign up, like, so I've been approached many times to have a TV show, right? And I've said no, because the contract's not right. I'm not going to let you lock me into a TV show that you own my image in perpetuity just so I can be on TV. I literally told someone I could literally never be on TV and still be wealthy. So why would I give my image to?
Yeah. Why?
Like, and then, because for one, it's going to be time and energy to make you wealthy. What that look like? It's not happening, you know? And so instead, I rather, if it's not going to be right, I won't do one. Like, I just signed on to do a documentary. So you'll be seeing that's a big, well, I can't say too much because I signed an NDA, but just say it'll be something huge coming soon. But I much rather it be right. The connections that I make has to be right. Like, for example, I wrote this book, not just Get Good with Money. I wrote this book, right? Happy Birthday, Molly Moore. This children's book for the babies to learn pre-financial education. So I wrote this book, available at mollymore.com, MALIMORE. I wrote this book and I said to myself, I wrote it right before Get Good with Money came out, and I was posting it, and my agent was like, Tiffany, don't post it, because right now we're shopping around like this. I hadn't written Get Good with Money yet, but we're shopping it around, and book folks don't want to see. They're afraid that if you're working on this, you won't work on this. And I was like, sis, this book has been in production for the longest time. It's happening. So I posted it, and sure enough, huge book publishing, Simon & Schuster reached out and said, not only do we want Tiffany's adult book, we want to buy that children's book. And you know what I said? No.
Oh, girl. Wait,
no. What? I said, because ownership. I said, if I sell, let's just say I sell this to them for, say, $50,000, even $100,000. Then 10, 20 years from now, you know how much money they would have made off this book?
Oh, yeah.
No. So I was like, no.
How publishing work, that they buy it for a flat rate. Like,
yes. And so, well, they buy it for they call it in advance. And then if you sell a number of books, you might get some money on the back end. Most people never sell enough to get their money on the back end. And that's okay, depending, because that's how this book is. I got a huge advance. Mm-hmm. And then if I sell over a certain amount, I will start to make money on the back end. I'm okay with that because this book you have to ask yourself, what's the desired outcome? The desired outcome for this book, it's not a book. What you're looking at here is Dora the Explorer. You are looking at a cartoon. You're looking at bedroom set for kids. You're looking at shoelaces, lollipops. So I don't want to sell you this book because this is tied to everything that I'm creating with this book. This is different. Ooh, this is different. I didn't have to even though what they pay me here, even though it was a big advance, I make it monthly. But this is my business card to the next level of access. So when Mama Oprah says, should we have her on Super Soul Sunday? And they're like, oh, that's the author of Get Good with Money. The New York Times bestseller. It's not, but you never know, right? But you see what I mean? So for me, I was willing to take to take the flat fee, knowing that I wasn't going to own this in its entirety, because to me, this is a passport to the next side. I had gotten myself to a certain level. It's the difference between I'm an indie artist and I wanted to cross over. This is my crossover. So I was willing.
That's your mindset and how thorough you are with analyzing what's worth it.
What you have to.
And that's kind of where I am in my business of since my business has been growing so rapidly, I get approached by so many companies, and they're if it's shiny, it ain't always gold. And I had an opportunity come and I had to turn it down. It was a huge opportunity, but it wasn't right. It didn't feel right. So I think that ultimately, what you said, it just all ties back to the mindset and knowing that you're the bank.
Yes.
And, it just kind of all ties from that. And even for me with the mindset of having to hire a team, and my mom's going to be full time with me this month. And just those types of things too. It can really, really have to believe that.
Yes. That you are that you are, someone said something about oh, I bring a lot to the table. I said, I am the table.
Yeah.
I am the table, meaning what you bring can always be replaced, but the table. So once you understand that, Erin, you are the table at any moment in time. So sure enough, so when they offered me what they offered me, I said, I'm doing a Kickstarter. I made 3 times in the Kickstarter what they had offered me for this book.
Wow.
Can you imagine? And then on top of that, that's just for the Kickstarter. I've already sold 10,000 copies of this book last year. So then we made money on top of that. And then on top of that, guess who reached out to me? A production company that knows that I want to keep ownership of her. And we're talking about making her into a show. Imagine I would have sold her, right? And now I wouldn't have access. No. This is Dora the Explorer. I've already claimed it. I've said, So I don't mind. I will wait on the coin. It might not be 10 years before we see this to fruition. Oh, but you're going to see Molly Moore. I'm okay to wait on the coin because I make money already. You have to sometimes be willing to take the short-term L for the long-term W, right? Short-term L for the long-term. I don't want to put all the gang signs. The long-term W. Not enough people understand that. So for me, like I said, Get Good with Money, I said, one, my audience knows me really well. They know that I teach the fundamentals. That's what literally Get Good with Money is, my love letter to especially women. Yeah. Right? To get them on the strongest financial foundation through these 10 components so they can build the rest of their financial life. Yeah. It is part memoir, guide, because I used to be a teacher. So I walk you step by step. There's homework. Step 1, do this. Step 2. I don't leave anything to chance. But it's also part self-help, because we don't just talk about money, because money is more than just that. So this is that. But like I said, it's also, nothing happens by chance. You have to ask yourself 5 years from now, the way I got this book published, is it going to be in alignment with where I'm headed? And I knew, yes, for this, but Molly Moore, something different. Even when it comes to shows, if I tell you some of the biggest names in Hollywood have reached out to me to do a show, but they don't want to give up executive producer credit. It's called EP credit. And so the reason why EP credit is important is because normally you get a talent fee. That's great. But that just means, Erin, you show up on set, you get your money. EP credit is that back end coin. Yeah. That means if that show gets bought, if that show, let's just say, for example, Project Runway. Project Runway has a formula. If that formula is recreated in England, you get your money.
Right.
There's so much money on the back end. Yeah. So do you want for 20 years from now, not 20 even, say 100 years from now, I want my great great grands
collecting them.
Girl, to be in their palatial pad talking about, Garcon, can I get some lemonade? Because great grandma was like, you tried it. No. Exactly. You see what I mean? I know too many, especially Black folks who have grown wealth, but have not known how to pass it along to the next generation. Mm-hmm. And so I want that. I want to be like this, like my father was the lever for where we are now. They grew up in a very rural village. My father built his own place to live with his own 2 hands when he was 16, in his village. Many people in my village still don't have electricity, but they do have water because we help to provide that. And he could have I could have grown up there in that village, but he said, I'm going to do something to switch, where we are to where we could be. So as a result, here I am. It's like he made a decision and it pushed us 10 steps forward instead of 1. So now I want to make choices that pushes the next generation 10 steps forward and to activate them to do the same. Like it is going to be different for me and mine, and it can be for you and yours as well.
Absolutely. What do you think, not since we're talking kind of about short-term versus long-term, can you just break down some investing fundamentals? Because I feel like, especially a lot of entrepreneurs, you start making money and you see in that account, creep on up, and you might have an amount of money that you've never seen or had before. And it's just like, okay, what do I do with all of this? Where do I put this? What is smart to do? So can you just touch on some beginner investment, or even not so beginner, but just investing?
I'll say this first. When it comes to investing, I want you to think long-term for the most part, right? Until you kind of have your long-term, meaning I want you to think retirement, until you kind of have that planned out. There's 2 types of investing. This is what I see, Erin, is investing for retirement, investing for wealth. So here's the difference. When you're investing for retirement, it's for you years from now. Meaning one day you will be able to live your current lifestyle when you're no longer working. That is the purpose of investing for wealth. Investing for retirement. Investing for wealth is literally the opposite. Investing for wealth is to improve your life now and to leave a legacy for your heirs. That's it. So retirement, when I no longer working, I'm good. Wealth, I can live a little bit fancier now, and my peoples are going to be good later on down the line. You must invest for retirement. Investing for wealth is an option because not everybody has enough extra money. And I make that distinction because some people jump to investing for wealth. And I'm like, so sis, what you going to eat when you get to be old? What are you going to, you're jumping to invest for wealth because that's what's sexy now, but you've made a misstep because God willing, you will be old one day. What are you going to do if you have not set aside the funds for that? So investing for retirement, super simple. If you have a 401k, you can choose, typically many 401ks have something called like a target date fund. If you don't know how to do nothing else, a target date fund is typically a mutual fund. So a mutual fund, I want you to think of it as like a basket, right? So this is since I have a hard time sleeping, because I'm so daggone hyper, I take melatonin. This is just like over the counter, right? So this is the difference. A stock is this. Stock is, come on, melatonin, it's not even open. But I like to be visual when I teach. A stock is one. A stock is one of these melatonins. And the stocks are, what's so great about stock is high reward possibility because it's just one. If the stock does good, it goes all the way up. If the stock does bad, though, it goes all the way down. But here's a mutual fund. A mutual fund is a basket. So it would take a lot for it to go all the way up, but it would also take a lot for it to go all the way down. Yeah. So for people who are like, I don't know how to invest.
That's so risky, is it?
Yes. So if you're like, I don't know how to invest, I don't know how to invest, that's okay. Because it's hard to pick the winning stock, but you ain't got to pick the winning stock when you do a mutual fund. You can get mutual funds that's based upon a sector. You might say, I want to invest in electronics. I want to invest in cannabis. I want to invest in whatever. Or you can pick a mutual fund that's based upon a market. A market is like the Dow Jones. You've heard of like NASDAQ. You've heard of things like that. This is all like literally I'm breaking down for you from Get Good with Money. This is like I think it's like step 7 So you can invest in S&P 500, which is 500 large companies that are in the market in the United States, right? So you could say, hey, I'm going to choose a mutual fund that invests in the S&P 500, or invest in a market that invests in a mutual fund that mirrors the S&P 500. That means when those 500 companies go up, your mutual fund goes up. When it goes down, your mutual fund goes down. But on average, those companies go up because they're the largest 500. So you can find a target date fund that is that for retirement. That's an easy breezy way to say every pay period, put it in my target date fund. And here's why I like target date funds, because you pick the target date, which is typically the closest date that you can get to for your retirement. And what happens is, Aaron, every year it rebalances itself to become more conservatively invested. In the beginning, you're 20 something years old. Oh, that mutual fund, that target date fund is going to be invested in more stocks. The closer you get to retirement, the closer you get to that target date, it's going to have less stocks, more bonds, because bonds are typically more conservative. Does that make sense? So If you don't know anything for retirement, a target date fund is a great place to start. You literally just throw it in money and set it and forget it. Now you're like, whew, okay, tip, I got my retirement account. I like to name my old lady self. I like to, and my old lady self, her name is Wanda. And I call her Wanda because and I would love to know your old lady self's name. Let me know in the comments. What's your old lady self? I like that. Mm-hmm. Name. Yeah, so I like my old lady self. The reason why I named my old lady self is because there's a study that was done that said we are disassociated from our older self, and we don't know like how to connect with our older self. So I was like, well, let's make it on purpose. Let me name her so I can visualize her and I can make best decisions for her. So anyway, we're taking care of my Wanda. Now let's talk about Tiffany. So Tiffany is investing for wealth because Wanda got her money already. Now, investing for wealth, you have a bunch of options depending on your time. You can certainly invest in stocks, but if you're like, I don't know how, you can go back to investing in the basket, which is what I typically encourage people to do. Get you a basket. So you can get an easy peasy basket, which is mutual funds. This is a basket, you literally set it and forget it. Or you can get something in between, an in-between basket, which is an index fund, typically purchased through something called an ETF. An index fund or an ETF can be purchased the way you purchase a stock. Mutual funds, you don't buy and sell the way you do stocks. You buy it at the end of the day, or you put your money in once a month and they just purchase for you, at the end of the day or once a week or however you want to put your money in. With an ETF, it's a basket like a mutual fund, but can be bought and sold like a stock. So people who are kind of in between that kind of want to get in the market a little bit, they like ETFs. And people who are like, girl, I want to set it and forget it, they like mutual funds. Yeah. So, I would pick an ETF. You can start super simple again, an ETF that mirrors a market. You might say, I'm going to choose an ETF that mirrors the S&P 500. Or I'm going to pick an ETF that mirrors, that invests in, I don't know, like agriculture. Or maybe you're an engineer and you notice there's like some new technology coming out and you find an ETF or mutual fund that invests in those types of companies. And so that's what I suggest for people who are just starting. Target date fund for retirement, a mutual fund or ETFs for wealth investing. If you do that, just that alone would make all the difference, And you put your money, because go ahead.
You have, the better, because it has more time to grow. Right?
Yes, exactly.
It's so important when it comes to investing.
I want you to think when you're investing, unless you're trading, that's different. I know people who trade, this is not what we're talking about. Unless you're trading literally means getting in and out, typically sometimes hourly, sometimes, daily. So unless you're trading, you want to think that your investments, you want to invest things that, you know what, I'm not going to need this for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
So one thing I do in the book that's really helpful is I actually have like this quiz that you can take to see what type of investor that you might be. Are you somebody who is, conservative? Are you somebody who, who's ready to like invest in like, to use stocks? Are you somebody who's like kind of in between? And so that was really important to me to help you identify what kind of investor you are so you can move forward confidently.
Yeah, I love that you have that quiz to help us figure out where we're at with it, because you may start off wanting to be more conservative if you've never invested before. And then you may find yourself, inching into, something a little bit more risky or I don't know, more complex. So,
I'm loving all these old people names. Bertha.
I know, Gladys.
Ernestine. I love me a good Ernestine. She said, Ernestine, don't play about her money. That's right.
Mother
Esther. Yes. No, Vivian. Yes, I love that. Grace, Bertrice, Bessie.
Yes.
Okay, Bessie, Beverly.
I didn't know that this was a thing. Okay, I'm definitely gonna have to.
Yeah, you have to think of an old lady name. Because then when you think to yourself, you think to yourself like, okay, what is Wanda gonna eat? Where is she going to live? I'm conscious about taking care of my Wanda. I almost think about Wanda as if I was thinking about my grandmother. Like I care for Wanda and I want to make sure that she's okay. And I know that Wanda can't put in the same amount of work that I can put in. So I don't expect Wanda to put the work in. Wanda needs to be okay based upon what younger Tiffany can do now.
Right, absolutely. So when it comes to planning out your financial year, I saw on your Instagram too, you talk about financial wholeness.
Yes.
But when it comes to planning your entire financial year, what are some steps that you take? Do you even do that?
Okay. So one of the things this is why I financial wholeness really is a term that I created. So you can look holistically at your life. There are 10 components. And so when I plan on my financial year, I look at financial wholeness and I ask myself, is there any place that I'm falling short? So here are the 10 components. And honestly, you guys can if you go to GGW for Get Good with Money, GGW quiz, I'll type it in here, ggwquiz.com. It's a 2-minute quiz. GGWM, I'm sorry, Get Good with Money quiz.com. You could take a 2-minute quiz to see where you are with financial wholeness. What percentage are you? 10%, 20%, 30%. And then I also give you because I always feel like you don't have to spend any money with me to get help. I actually give you a financial wholeness checklist to kind of walk you through. So here are the 10 components. And this is what I look at, Erin. Every year, my husband and I sit down and we ask ourselves, where are we with budgeting? That's 1. Then savings. How is our savings? Then debt is 3. 4 is credit. 5 is learning how to earn. 6, investing like an insider. So that's for retirement and wealth. We like to see where are we with that. 7 is insurance. 8 is net worth. 9 is your money team. And 10 is estate planning. So this year in particular, I'm like, budgeting, we good. Saving, we good. Debt, we good. We're debt free like a 10-year-old. Credit score, good. Earning, we good. Investing, we're actually good. But last year was our investing year because we were like, ooh, we're not so good. So we looked at our financial wholeness plan, was like, we're not so good. This year was really the year for insurance. Like my certified financial planner, my CFP was like, you are underinsured. And so I got additional life insurance. And then also this year, the second half of this year, me and my husband are really upping our estate planning because we had some, but like now as the business has grown, our estate planning has to look better. So that's how you plan out your financial year. You look at it's GGWM, sorry, for Get Good with Money. GGWMquiz.com. Yeah, so it's a free quiz. It takes 2 minutes, ggwmquiz.com. I'll send you like a debt free, like a 10-year-old. So, but it's always good. Like before the new year starts, one thing I do is I make a vision board. So, because I like to dream, but then I do the financial checklist, wholeness checkup, because I'm also like, although the dreaming on the vision board feels good, but we need to get down to business. And I'm like, all right, where are you? Because here's the thing about financial wholeness, Erin, depending on where you are in life, meaning that I might have been good with budget 2 years ago, but I'm at a different stage in my life. So my budget it's not appropriate. Like my insurance from when I was like 22, that was fine, but not at 41 that I am now. You know what I mean? So like, that's why we look at the checklist and we look at our financial wholeness steps every year, because I need to know, are we actually whole where currently we are now? Financial wholeness grows with you. This is why this is why I don't, not that I don't like the term financial freedom. The problem though with financial freedom is that it's limiting, because let's just say I'd reached financial freedom a number of years ago and I was feeling good. And then I was like, you know what? I want to learn how to take my wealth to the next level. So I hired a certified financial planner. And she was like, oh, you got money in the bank? Oh, yes, that's cute, sis. If something were to happen to you today, your family's screwed. Where's your will? Where's your estate plan? I was like, she said, and your insurance, sis, you're insured like you're 22. Are you 22? I was like, I look 22. I look 22, but I'm not 22. She's like, yeah, you tried it. If someone were to fall outside your house, all your money gone. I was like, oh.
So where does someone find someone like that at?
So it took me a long time to find my financial planner. So one of the things, that's why I so literally number 9 is pick your financial professional. So I created in the book, I created this thing called My So-Called Financial Life. Mm-hmm. And it's literally a spreadsheet where you put all your stuff in. And what I did was I posted on all my social media platforms, like on Facebook especially, and then some of the Facebook groups I belong to. Does anybody know a really amazing financial planner? You're looking for a certified financial planner, not just a financial advisor. Anybody can call themselves a financial planner, a financial advisor, a certified financial planner has to have passed a certain test, has to have worked in the industry for a certain number of years, must be what they call fiduciary, which means they have to put your interest before their own. So you're looking for a CFP, a certified financial planner, and ideally fee only, meaning that you pay them. They're not paid by what they sell you.
Right.
Because I don't want, like Anjali is mine, I don't want that the way she gets paid is, let's tell Tiffany that. Yeah, get it. Right. Anjali don't care what I buy because her fee is the same either way. So she's more likely to really only tell me what's good for me, right? So I created My So-Called Financial Life. I posted on my social media platforms. Does anybody know anybody? Post here below. And I reached out to every single one. It was probably I want to say like 13 people that they said set aside. And then I made My So-Called Financial Life a Google Doc, and I sent it to everyone ahead of time. Said, hey, my name is Tiffany, such and such, you were recommended as a financial planner. Here is my financial life in a snapshot and the goals I want to reach. Do you think you can help me? Some people disqualified themselves from the rip. It was so helpful, and so the inside the book, I give you My So-Called.
Because of your goals, or
one, because I'm a multi-business owner. So some people are like, oh, I don't really work with people who own business. You see what I mean? Some people, one woman was like, oh, I work with divorced women. Okay. Oh, somebody was like, I focus on teachers. So, but what the problem is, before I would have worked with somebody for a year before I realized they weren't a fit. Yeah. That My So-Called Financial Life changed everything, because I was able to say, look at me and you tell me, should we get on the call? Right. So I think originally it was maybe 20 or 30 people I sent the email to, and then maybe 12 of them were like, I think I can help. But now when I had the conversation with them, we're both looking at the same My So-Called Financial Life. I didn't forget to tell them anything because it's all there. Because I would talk to one planner, Aaron, I told Aaron, but I forgot to tell Matthew. Right. It's right there. And so I was able to quiz them and be like, and then I have a whole checklist. And then what happened was, as a result of that, 3 or 4 of the financial planners were like, you know who you should meet? You should talk to Anjali. I'm like, she's not on my list. So 3 or 4 of the financial planners recommended a planner. Now, you bad when a planner recommends a planner. Because they were like, once they got to know me and something on the list, they're like, Yeah. And I was like, all right, she was the last person on the list. I said, we gonna see, because I'm tough. Yeah. I met Anjali and I was like, what about this? What about that? What about this? She was like, bang, bang, boom, bam. And I was like, oh my God. And then I was like, well, meet my husband, because he's not really with that. He was like, what about this? What about that? She killed it. It's been 2, almost 3 years now. Anjali is amazing, but for me. Yeah. And so I think it's that's really.
I'm glad you said that, because so many times, obviously, so many people trust you and your expertise, but your financial planner may not be for everyone. So I think that that's really important, that most people, instead of going into Tiffany's followers and trying to find
she ain't in there. Anjali is busy.
Actually go through the process.
That's exactly why I wrote. And that's literally what Get Good with Money is all about. It's not about, the teacher in me does not believe, I'm not here, Aaron, to tell you what to do with your money. I'm here to give you the tools and the resources so you can decide what's best for you. I don't believe in judgment. I don't believe in telling you credit cards are the devil. I'm here to say, here are the best practices with credit cards. If you decide to use them, great. If you don't decide to use them, great. It's almost like when you're trying to teach kids about not getting pregnant in high school. You can say absence, abstinence, like no sex, no sex. Some of these kids are going to be having some sex,
right?
So I'd rather be like, hey, yes, certainly the best way not to get pregnant is to not have sex prematurely until you're ready and mature enough. But if you decide to, here are best practices. I really believe I'm not here to decide for you. I'm here to give you the tools and the resources. And that's what Get Go with Money is all about.
Absolutely. Yes. I love that, Tiffany. Oh my gosh. This is so good. You guys, everyone's like, this is amazing. Love her energy.
She said she has so much energy. Meanwhile, literally, I have been, what did I tape this morning? I taped ABC News this morning. Tomorrow I taped the Today Show. Last week I did Good Morning America twice. I be going but when you find, and this is just like aside from the financial stuff, when you find your purpose and your alignment, despite the fact that like literally this is probably like my 6th interview because I'm on book tour. My 6th interview today, I feel energized because if any of you are like play sports or play an instrument, it's probably the closest thing that I can tell you that it's called the zone. Like, have you ever seen like a jazz player play? And it's like, they're literally levitating internally because they are so connected to the music. They're just playing from the heart and soul. And that's what's happening now that I love teaching. Teaching is my jazz, teaching is my basketball, teaching is, so when I get a chance to teach, it doesn't matter. This could be my 10th. I can literally be like, oh, I'm so tired.
But then when you start, you just
girl, the teaching in me is like.
I think that's so cool that you used to be a teacher because you're using that, even though you're not in the classroom necessarily. You're using that, and it's kind of ironic too because finances isn't something that's necessarily taught in school, at least not in the capacity that it should be. So. We feel your energy. We feel
they said, oh yes, my husband, I call my husband Superman. Yes, I call him. So they're like, you call him Superman? Yes, I do. Like Superman is my husband's nickname and Supergirl is my stepdaughter's nickname.
Yes. Well, all of my e-bosses are like, we got to be reading this next.
Yes.
So we are going to read your book next. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know we're hitting the hour soon. I don't really see any questions in the chat. Someone asked, what's your take on having credit cards? So maybe
I think that credit cards can be a tool. Credit cards are like a hammer. Same thing of money. A hammer can be used to build your house. A hammer can be used to destroy your house. It's you that gets to decide. A credit card is not bad or good. It's just a piece of plastic. So you can use credit card to mess up your credit score, your credit history. But like for me, I use it when I use my credit card, I pay it off in full every single month. And as a result, it helps to raise my credit score. So credit cards are not bad. But if you don't have, so for example, I tell my husband all the time, stop bringing home chocolate chip cookies. Cookies ain't bad or good. It's just like, it's me. I'm like addicted. So I know me and cookies. If there's cookies downstairs, I'm finna eat it. Like literally, I'll be like, I'm not gonna eat it. I'll wake up in the middle of the night. I'm just gonna go to the bathroom and I find myself creeping downstairs like just one cookie. I don't have control when it comes to cookies. So you have to know yourself. It's not that the credit card is bad. If you know that you don't have control when it comes to using your credit card, it's okay to say, I'm not buying cookies for this household. It's okay to say, I'm not bringing credit cards into this household. That's okay. But if you know that you have the discipline to use credit cards wisely, then it can be used as a tool to raise your credit score.
Yes. Okay, we'll take 2 more quick questions. Taj, she's an e-boss. Hey, Taj, she says, any advice on people looking to write a book?
Yeah, so I'll say this. So mostly like, look, you don't have to wait for someone to qualify yourself. You see these books right here? This is my first book, One Book Budget. This is my second book, Literature Challenge. This is my third book, Savings Edition, Literature Challenge. Net Worth Edition, Literature Challenge. Credit Edition, Literature Challenge. I have a home buying book around here somewhere, Literature Challenge. And Molly Moore, my children's book. You know what these all are? They have in common? Self-published, self-published, self-published. I didn't have to wait for nobody to tell me. So if you have a book that you're wanting to write it. You can upload it to almost any platform and see if it will sell. Write your book. I literally had a college student at the time named Hector format the book and upload it to Amazon for me. And then as I navigated with my audience, I would let them know I have a book. It took 2 years for me to take this book from not selling anything to selling regularly. 2 years. Most people after year 1 is like, well, it's not selling. Oh, well, no, not me. I'm like, how I look doing all this work and this, you gonna sell.
Oh, you
know,
gon'
yes.
Oh, you gon' sell.
Oh, you gon' sell.
Yeah.
And so like what? I took every marketing class online,
Yes.
studied, and then finally, so then it made it easier. It took 2 years for this book to hit an Amazon bestsellers list. It took 2 weeks for this book. See, because you learn the thing from one thing, translate it. And now, so that's why I say, if you want to write a book, write it. If you're talking about traditionally publishing, the best way to do is to get an agent. But let me tell you, people want to go from 0 to 10. The reason why the agent said yes to me, because of these little babies. The agent was like, how many books have you sold? Because I had already written all these books. I had proof. Yeah. So do not humble small beginnings. Like, don't despise small beginnings. You don't have to sign with a big old publisher. The reason why I was able to get a big publishing deal is because of those babies. Literally, they were like, Tiffany's already done it. They're not looking to take a chance on you. They want to know, are you capable of getting people to buy your book? Yeah. So that's how that's how you write a book. And you asked me, what did I teach? I taught preschool. That's why you see all this hyperness. Like, yes. I taught preschool for 10 years.
I love it. Afnan, hey boss. She says, what is your take on balancing debt when building your business as a small entrepreneur?
So it is critical that you don't get yourself. Ideally, you want to be actively paying down debt. Not to say you shouldn't start your business at the same time, because I certainly was in debt. I had student loan debt. I had a mortgage that I could no longer afford. And I also had credit card debt, but you should be actively paying down that debt as you're working on your business. But don't be a business snob. Some people are like, I'm an entrepreneur. No, sis, I babysat, I tutored, I ran Budgetnista on the side. I did all those things. So meaning that whatever you got to do to get your money, so yes, you can have your business, but literally Budgetnista was making maybe $100 a month. That's not enough. So I did all the side work. I also was on unemployment, and because it was during the 2008 recession. I was paying down my debt at the same time. So don't be afraid to do multiple things until your business is enough to support you. But so some of your debt, like for example, I said, mortgage gone, because I lost it to foreclosure. I was like, whatever. Like the only debt that I was aggressive with when I was building Budgetnista was a credit card debt, because it was really expensive. Yeah. Credit card debt typically gets high interest rates. Student loans, I said, Sally, listen, Sally, look. Me and you, we're not friends. Sally, I will see. It was federal student loans. I said, deferment. Forbearance. I literally paid off my student loan debt. I want to say 3 or 4 years ago. People are like, you still have student loan debt? I said, I'm still building Budgetnista. She can wait. The interest is low on that. And then you know what? That $52,000, I paid it off with one check. Boom. I didn't even make a debt in my bank account. That same year, paid off my parents' house, $120,000. Same year, bought this house cash, $180,000. It was a foreclosure. That same year, renovated this house for another $180,000. That same year, bought a second property for $10,000. It was a tax deed from the city. But do you see, if you make debt freedom the goal, that's all you get. You make wealth and financial wholeness the goal, you get debt freedom on the way.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I hope that quote is in the book, Tiffany. I really do.
I said debt freedom is a goal, not the goal. Yes. And so I walk you through all of that and get good with money. Who's gonna get good with money? I'm sure some of you guys have gotten it already.
Who's getting the book? Should. How about the whole EOD squad just read it together?
Yes.
And we do in the eBrand Club, we'll read it, and then on my YouTube channel, we'll read it, and maybe I'll do like a book video or something where we can chat about it. I don't know, figure something out. But let's all support Tiffany, not just because she's amazing. And, I just know that this book is full of so much information. And
the feedback has been really like heartwarming, because it's one thing to do a thing, but to see women say, it's a page turner, a finance book. Someone said, girl, I was like, let me support my girl, sister to sister. She said, I started reading it and I cried. I started reading it. And because it's not a novel, but I wanted to share my story of how I got here. And then how I started losing everything, $300,000 in debt, to now multi-million-dollar, net worth. How did I do that? And without all the fanciness, I'm not a big, I don't invest in options and trade on the, I don't do that. So I wanted to show, how does a regular, used to be preschool teacher go from that to this in less than 10 years? Yeah. In less than 10 years. And so, yeah, so
like you said in the beginning, we ain't special. Ain't nobody special. It's just do the thing.
And I used to say do the work, but now it's really do your work.
Yeah.
Do your work. If one foot in front of the other, I promise you, if you make regular deposits into your dream bank, regular, systematic, persistent, and consistent deposits, you will see a shift. And for those of you asking, it's getgoodwithmoney.com. Yes. Getgoodwithmoney.com. And is it internationally applicable for the things where it makes sense? Like depending on where you're from, credit is different. Budgeting is the same, savings is the same, debt is the same, credit might be different. Learning to earn is the same. These are the 10 financial wholeness steps. Investing might be different, but typically it's very similar. Insurance definitely will be different because I don't know, it might be different. But net worth is the same. Money team can be the same in general, but there's some specific things that are definitely American-based. And estate planning, it might be different. So I would say a good 70% is the same, and 30% you might have to tweak depending on what country you're from.
Yes. So y'all all know where to get it. Tiffany, do you want to say it one last time?
You can get it at getgoodwithmoney.com. I'm putting it into the comments as well because I see some of you guys asking. Getgoodwithmoney.com. Erin, thank you for having
description box. You're so welcome. Thank you for taking your time and coming and sharing all this information. So many people are, including myself, super inspired by, not just inspired either, but super inspired by your story, but also just so enlightened by all of the information that you always provide. You guys, please follow Tiffany on Instagram as well. She's always posting money tips and information and all kinds of good content. So please follow her there as well. Yes. Also, lastly, you guys, if you are interested in joining the eBrand Club, Tiffany is going to be speaking in the club in July. And if you're an e-boss, you will be able to ask her questions. And it's just going to be a bit more in depth than this. And we're super excited to have her in there. So the club is actually secretly open. I haven't shared that with anyone, but it is secretly open. So if you want to go in there and join the club, you are welcome to do that. It will
we can talk like real tea about what I've done. I mean, your e club. What is it? eBrand
Club,
right? eBrand Club. Is it mostly business owners?
Yes.
Ooh, because I love to talk about business. Like, how did I grow? Because I don't just have one business. Yeah. I've got multiple businesses. So I would love to dive deep into like what we're doing that's working, what we're doing that's not as it relates to business and mistakes I've made. So we're going to like drop some real heavy tea on about business. So yes, if you're not in the eBrand Club, girl,
please get in, and we are so excited to have you. If there's any other questions you have for Tiffany, please feel free to message her on Instagram. What's the best place to contact you if people have questions? Is it Instagram?
You can I'm at the Budgetnista on Instagram. Yep. And if you'll put my @ in the like the link in the description of the video, you guys can find it there. But
yeah, this replay will be going up on my channel. So you guys, if you want to rewatch this, please feel free to do that. I'll leave her link to the book and I'll leave her link to her Instagram in the description. All right, you guys. Thanks so much, Tiffany.
Yes, thank you for having me. This has been awesome.
Yes. All right. See you guys. Now I just gotta figure out how to end it.
That's always me
every time.